Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And with me today is me, just me, and you, the chat. I am so glad that you are here. I have so much to talk about tonight. We've had an interesting day. As you know, of course, doesn't matter what lawsuits you're covering or talking about or thinking about. The world has ways. The world has ways to throw curveballs at you, to throw vodka bottles at Johnny Depp, to throw lawsuits at CNN, and unfortunately, grimly and gravely, and in all seriousness, to throw bullets at people. Undoubtedly, many of you have heard of the tragic events occurring over in, I think, New Zealand. There is a confirmed mass homicide by a shooter, and I would like to just take a moment of brief silence for that, because look, there's lots of how do I put this? There's lots of disagreement amongst ideology out there, religious, political ideology about things like immigration, about things like the proper roles of humans and our relationships to this planet and other people, right? But at the end of the day, and more importantly, at the end of every bullet, is a person. And that person, it's very easy. It's very easy for us to meld a person, an individual, with an ideology. It's very easy. And that's at the core of some, not all, but some of these tragedies, or atrocities, as my friend Larry would call them. It's at the core of some of these atrocities where we take an individual and we're able to explain away their individuality with some sort of demonized ideology. Even if it's correct, even if there are real problems with that ideology, the overwhelming majority of people on this planet aren't their ideology. They are moms, dads, brothers, sisters, children, right? Like that's who people are on the day-to-day basis. May not be who they are on the internet. It may not be who they are when they're at a protest. But day to day, they wake up, they feed their kids, they go to work, they do stuff like that. So a moment of silence for the atrocity that happened in New Zealand today, please. All right. Thank you for bearing with me on that. Let's see. Sao Paulo. Yes, Brazil was the other day as well. This is the world we live in, and it's not. It's very tempting to think that the world is a more dangerous place, and in some places it is, some places it isn't. But the reality is, whatever the danger level is, of course, we get the news now, and we get the news always. We have access to the entire globe virtually. So when there is an event, we know about it. We know about it quickly, and we know about it with more detail than we've ever known before. And part of that is learning to deal with this type of stuff. But that's enough of me speaking about this subject. I'm not like some expert or something. I'm just a guy, right? Just a guy on the internet. And we are not going to sit and talk about that stuff today. That's not the goal. Today we are talking about Vic Mignogna. We are talking about tortious interference, and we are talking about whatchamacallit? Vic Mignogna, tortious interference. Oh, the people and parties who could be involved hypothetically. If you're here to find out from me who's involved, with this. The knowledge that I have, who told me the information, who the parties are to this, I'm not going to divulge that. You may figure it out. You may have theories, and they're, you guys are smart. These are probably right theories, but I am not at liberty to confirm or deny any of that. So I won't be answering the question of, was it this person, was it that person? That's not what tonight's about. Okay, so that being said, one more point of business before we get really started. Tonight is my last video on Vic Mignogna, my last live stream video, at least, on Vic Mignogna for a little bit. For this week, for sure. And then probably, I don't think I'll be doing much through the weekend unless something really, really huge becomes public or happens or whatever. But people are... there's a lot of talk, and the action is lagging behind because the legal process isn't fast. It isn't as fast as we want it to be, right? We want the sledgehammer to just fall and land on the anvil and make it happy. Like, that's what we want to happen, but that's not what does happen all the time. So, that said, tomorrow is the Chad Dad Chat. I will have Larry Blydner. I will have Doug TeNapel. We may have a fourth member, but I do encourage you to come to that. It's a much different type of stream than this. It's guys talking and drinking and having a good time. Very uplifting, I hope. And if you're looking to ask some advice or questions to some people, it's a good place to do it. So please do come and check out Larry and Doug if you don't know about them. They're great guys with very interesting shows and channels of their own. Okay. I think... Are we done with housekeeping this quickly? I gotta stall for time. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna stall for time. That's a joke. Let's hit a couple of these chats that came in before the show, because I want to make sure and not lose or miss them as things move on. I've got a thread of chats from Siren Jag that came in through the Justice chat thing. So here we go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 posts in a row. I'm not going to break them up individually. I'm going to read them as one because that's what it is. Siren Jag says, rant forthcoming. Nick, kudos to you for having CRP on the stream and giving him a chance. I tried to block out the chat vitriol and give him a fair shot because I had no previous exposure to him. Then I figured out that this guy is what would happen if Porkins from Star Wars let himself go and decided that it was okay to get rid of babies. He upset me immediately when he said that men shouldn't use actual emotions. Nick, you knew things in chat were going badly when you turned the conversation to Vic in an attempt to find common ground. His talk about the abortion wasn't honest. His wording was everything. Convinced isn't the same as coerced, and a girlfriend isn't the same as a mistress. You could hear him say, to word things just the way he wanted. Then moments later, this alleged piece of crap said that he thought abortion was immoral, but it was okay for mistresses to abort their children because those kids were inconvenient. That does not him any moral high ground, not give him any moral high ground. Later, this purported slime admitted to doxing his 4-year-old child. My God, why would you see thousands upon thousands of people who regard you with nothing but hatred and think, oh, I know, I'll tell them exactly where my surviving child is. What's wrong with this person? I had to take my Ambien after that point to survive any more exposure to him, and thank God for anterograde amnesia. The next thing I remember is waking up at 6 a.m. in my computer chair, and this mass of cells was gone. The chat was right. This rant was the best $14 I've spent in months, but it wasn't worth his miasma. I'd rather see Shane get owned again or The Last Jedi. Ouch! Ouch! F for Coach. Holy cats. That rant may have killed him. Well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man. I do want to comment one thing on that. I did not talk about Vic Mignogna to find common ground with Coach. What I knew was that in the first hour we have a build up And then right around 11:45 to midnight, we have peak viewers. Now, unapologetically and transparently, Coach's purpose on the stream yesterday was to talk about, shill, and try to sell copies of his book, something he asked me if he could come on and do. I agreed to that weeks ago before any of the real drama kind of came about. And Coach has always been nice to me. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Coach for various reasons. That's fine. Coach has always been nice to me. He's always been respectful to me. He had me on when my channel was very small and his was much, much larger for no reason. I understand why people have problems with Coach. I don't share all of those concerns. I do share some of your concerns about his morals on abortion. I share concerns about some of his views about women. But, you know, we're allowed to have those disagreements, you know, he and I. But I do thank you guys for watching and voicing your opinion. People were saying, you know, don't thumbs down it, don't you know, whatever. No, tell me, you know, you guys are the market, right? I'm not going to tell you not to tell me what you don't like, because if you don't like something, you know, I have to really consider whether I want to have that as part of my product and brand, because, you know, at the end of the day, this is entertainment and you guys are here to be entertained, educated, informed, whatever that purpose is. So I don't want to take away from that. I certainly do appreciate feedback, and I would never ask anyone to lie to me about it. So that said, we've got one more chat that came in, or a couple more chats that came in before the show started. Blaine20 says, F and salute for Christchurch victims. Yes, we did that just a little bit ago. Afro Man John says, your thoughts on the Judas Priest defense, i.e. any misdemeanor is forgiven without consequence if you were singing Breaking the Law by Judas Priest. That should definitely be implemented. Definitely be implemented. The misdemeanors put people under a remarkable amount of stress for remarkably insignificant acts many times. Now, some of them are, you know, very important, but some of them are, whew. Okay. Toya says, hey, just wanted to say I really appreciate your prayers for my sister, along with everybody else in the Discord. We had a talk tonight. There was some crying, but I think we're slowly fixing things. You're welcome. You're welcome. And my sincerest prayers and best wishes to you and your family, and hopefully everything turns out okay. Sakaki Onzai says, I seriously am wondering if Shane didn't indirectly lead us to the current situation due to unaddressed guilt that he may have. Nah. Hashtag Hail Chair Chan. Simulated Internet Friend says, Nick, are there any resources on setting up community legal defense funds? We're going to push back against pause. We need to ditch this boomer F got mine ethos and be collectively ready for trouble. There is a legal defense fund that was set up that involves Richard Spencer and the Heel Turn Network. I don't know anything about them. I think it's called the American Legal Defense Fund. I don't know if they have resources around it, but you know, I'm looking into it personally. Marty Lund says, RIP my Discord invite. That's not true. I got you in there, buddy, don't I? Yeah, I got you in there. Forever229 says, late as always, I see. Yes. And Darkman McEdgeface says, hope y'all ready for another Lawmite adventure. Here's the deal. Let's see here. We've got on Shane, the person that I have information implicating is not Shane. It's not Shane. Shane, what was the little jingle I sang on Yellow Flash's stream earlier? You're so Shane. I bet you thought this tweet was about you. You're so Shane. No, it's not Shane. I wish it was Shane in many ways, because it would be funny to see Shane get annihilated by the legal process he doesn't believe exists. But it's not. It is someone else. So I have something to kick us off. For this. Let me get it ready. if I can. I think you guys will like this though, because we're going to talk tortious interference. We're going to talk tortious interference in just a second. And I think we're about ready for it. Here we go. Let me see. I'm going to, oh man, it's going to be annoying. Well, we'll try it. Here we go. Oh, there it is. Are you ready? Let me unmute it. Here we go. Here's a preview of tonight.
No, answer the question. How do you bring a civil suit without a summons and complaint? Answer it.
You can't even answer what you're actually going to court for.
Oh my God, you are embarrassing. Answer the question. Without a summons and complaint, how do you bring a civil suit?
What is Vic suing for?
It doesn't matter.
Come on, Shane.
Literally every... Okay, fine. Tortious interference with business prospects. How do you bring a complaint with... How do you bring...
Yay! Let's do this.
Oh my God.
All right, he's got him. Got it. Shane. Come on, Shane. All right. Let's talk about tortious interference with a contract. Here it comes. Okay. So what we've got is tortious interference with a contract. Finally, Shane is avenged, fulfilled, completed. Everything about Shane is happy. Let's talk about it. So what is tortious interference with a contract? It is a cause of action that I have been very, 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 very reluctant. I'm very reluctant to bring up tortious interference with a contract this entire time, because the important part of tortious interference, the most important part, they have to know there's a contract. This is critical. They have to know there's a contract, an agreement, an exchange of promises. That's what a contract boils down to. Now, we don't have to get caught up on the technical term contract. Many people think that a contract, that this matters, that this is a contract. No, this is paper. Paper is pointless and useless. The paper does nothing for the contract other than memorialize an existing agreement, okay? Your contract is your meeting of minds, your agreement between two parties. When they have come to agreement on the material terms of a deal, you have a contract. When you reduce it to writing, you just formalize it, set it in stone, and make it easy to reference later. But if you never reduce it to writing, outside of some limited things, so we're not going to get into the statute of frauds and all of that stuff. That's very complicated contract law that is way higher level than the stream and not important. Outside of some limited exceptions, verbal oral contracts are completely enforceable they're certainly enforceable in Texas, but in almost every jurisdiction in the United States. The general presumption is that an oral agreement is sufficient. Now, it doesn't work for real estate. It doesn't work for employment contracts that are over a year long and stuff like that. It doesn't work that way. Those you need to reduce to writing. But generally speaking, you can do, think about it. You enter into contracts every single day. You go into the gas station and you agree to pay $1.09 for a pack of gum. That's a contract. The receipt is a record of the exchange, but the contract was, how much is this pack of gum? $1.09. Okay, cool. Let's do it. Contract formed. Money changes hands. Gum changes hands. That was a contract. If we reduce all of those to writing, we would really, lawyers would be paid a lot less because we'd be working all the time on nothing. Don't get any ideas. So you enter into these contracts constantly. You may hire someone to plow a driveway, right? Well, that's an agreement. You're going to give them $60. They're going to come plow your driveway and everything's going to be great. That's how it goes. If they don't plow your driveway, you can call and scream at them. if they do plow your driveway and like run over your kid, then you have a cause of action because they, this whole thing happened. All of that stuff. That said, you don't have to have knowledge of a piece of paper. You have to have knowledge of a contract. Can't talk sometimes. So that is the crucial part. Now, we know that some of Vic's colleagues, of course, would have knowledge of some contracts like Rooster Teeth and Funimation, right? We know that they have knowledge of those contracts. They don't need to know the details of those contracts. That's also important. They don't need to know the details of the contracts. They do need to know that a contract exists. So we know they would know about his Funimation contract. We know they would know about his Rooster Teeth contract. And there may be tortious interference with contract there. There may be. But there's all these other contracts potentially out there that are these conventions. And since we didn't know what the convention contracts look like, as Shane so happily pointed out, we don't know what the convention contracts look like. We don't know who knew about them. We don't know if there were any. We don't know anything about that. We couldn't say definitively that there was TI with contract. I think what I said was maybe we'd find it on Discovery, but right now, we don't know. Now, we might know. We might know. So, that crucial element is there a contract and does someone know? Does someone know? Let's scheme for a moment and suggest that at least one convention, presumably more, there was an actual contract. And I will humbly suggest that maybe it wasn't even just a verbal agreement. Maybe there was a real written contract. You could argue, you could certainly make the case that an invitation, like an email invitation that had been accepted, is enough. It's a contract. Depending on what's in the email, depending on the terms of what's going on. You could certainly make that argument. You could make the argument that a phone call or discussion through an agent or representative amounts to a contract too. You could say, look, my agent's authorized to make contracts. This convention called my agent and said, we'd love to have Vic on these dates, something like that. And your agent says, yep, let's do it. Contract. You got it. That's an argument. It's not 100%. But what is really juicy is when not only do you have that agreement, but you do have a piece of paper and you've got some ink right on that paper that says, we're going to have you come to this place. We're going to have you do these things. We're going to pay you this much money. And that's going to be, and then whatever else you do is going to be good. That would be the gold mine, wouldn't it? In having a contract. That would be the gold mine in having a contract. Let me tell you, folks, I found one. I found at least one. So that's the first step. Now, what's the next step? Knowledge of the contract. Now, there are lots of ways to know about the contract. Okay, so if you go back to Meyer versus Wade, and if you're not from the comics community, if you haven't been following my channel that for the past year, you might not know about this, but Meyer is Richard Meyer, otherwise known as your boy Zach. He was formerly Diversity in Comics. Now his channel is Comics Matter with your boy Zach. That's his YouTube channel. He's a comic book critic. And he one of the criticisms levied back at him was, you couldn't make a comic, right? You can't do this. So how are you criticizing these people? So he said, okay, I'll make a comic. He crowdfunds it. It's wildly successful. It's called Jawbreakers Lost Souls. It's a wildly successful Indiegogo campaign. Ended up over $400,000. And at the end of the campaign, he decided, well, I also want to publish this in a more traditional manner. So he enlisted the help of a small press called Antarctic Press in San Antonio, Texas. They set up to do distribution. No, I've never seen Miraculous Ladybug. I don't know what that is. So they set up to do distribution for him. And then this puffy man-shaped, well, not really man, this puffy soy-shaped marshmallow named Mark Waid, who's been a Marvel writer for decades, made a call, decided to make a phone call to Antarctic Press after it was announced publicly that they would be publishing Jawbreakers. And following that phone call, shockingly, they decided not to publish it anymore. And now we have a lawsuit going on for tortious interference with contract. Mark Waid probably didn't know what the details of the contract were. He'd probably never seen the contract or agreement between Meyer and Antarctic Press. I don't know if they even had one reduced to a formalized writing. They may have just had things. However, they had announcements, very public announcements through through the official Twitter accounts of both Meyer and Antarctic Press. They had put out there that they were doing this deal. It was done. They were going to publish it. They even got some flack and said, we're sticking by this guy. We're going to do it. So anybody who had seen those tweets knew that there is an agreement to go forward. They know of the contract. They have actual knowledge. Now, the other way is constructive knowledge, where we could infer that they should have knowledge based on some circumstances. Not really important there. You need actual knowledge of the contract. That doesn't mean you need to have seen the document in some sort of national treasure like glass case, like, ooh, there's the contract. No, it just means you have to know that there's a deal that's happening. Don't need details, don't need any of that. So, I found one. I found at least one, where, let's just say the people involved had actual knowledge of an agreement for Mr. Mignogna to go. Let's just say that. Let's put that down there. All right, so now we have the existence of a contract. We've got knowledge of a contract. And guys, unfortunately, you're gonna have to just believe me on this one. Listen and believe. Don't you dare ask for evidence. All I can say is, have I steered you wrong so far? I hope not. I hope not. I hope no one thinks I am steering them wrong, because I feel like I've been correct. And I do try to be very honest and very careful with how I present things. So, know that with me, I can tell you with confidence that there is an agreement and that the other party had, as best anyone can tell, knowledge of this agreement. Now, I'm going to pause after those two elements because I'm going to catch up on some of these chats. I want to try and keep that rolling through. It's also 30 minutes into the stream, so seems like a good time to rail through some of those. And then we're going to pick right back up with the third element, which is intention to interfere and what that would look like. So that's coming up in just a second. Let's hit these chats. That guy says, Warski needs a place to stay. Do you have room? If Andy needs a place to stay, that's a long train ride from Florida to Minnesota, but he can call me. James Cragg says, do you believe the overall situation will get better or worse should Vic win this case? Oh, I think it gets better. I think it's already getting better for Vic, and that's one of the foci of this stream is we want to start shifting. We've shifted the narrative already, right? Vic's a pedophile, Vic's a molester, all that nonsense has been out there. And it took 3 weeks to destroy his career. It's taken about 3 weeks to counter that narrative. And I think we're doing it. I think we're winning this fight. I mean, look at the people shutting themselves down, going and hiding behind their behind their harassments, going and hiding behind their bar complaints, whatever these boring people have. That's all they have left. We've shifted the narrative. Their support has eroded beneath them. Eroded beneath them. And it's glorious, isn't it? Isn't it just freaking glorious? Oh my gosh. They never saw it coming. They never saw it coming. So we've shifted the narrative on that. Now it's important to start letting conventions know that that narrative it was false, illusory, nonsensical from the get-go. We've shown it for the falsehood that it is. Now we need to let them know that it is safe to have Vic back. If we can do that, the court becomes gravy. If we can get Vic back to conventions, and listen, every convention he goes to, every convention Vic goes to and is positive and not problematic. Like his Pennsylvania convention that he went to this past weekend, I heard was huge lines for Vic. Actually, I've heard that he was the most popular voice actor at the convention. I've heard there were no problems there. I've heard that everything was a smooth success. And I've heard that maybe the convention owner thinks so too. Now, whether or not that's true, I don't know yet. I don't know. But that's everything I've heard about that is positive. That's a message to every convention out there. Look what happens when you have Vic at your convention. Nothing bad. Lots of people. Money. That's what it's about. That's what conventions are about. Everybody being safe, everybody making money, and everybody getting to engage the fans, and the fans getting to engage the people they want to see. If we can get Vic to some more conventions, if we can let these conventions know that things are safe, that all of this stuff was nonsense, that the people involved are liars, demonstrably liars over and over and over again, well then, maybe we win before court happens, and maybe that court victory is gravy on top of the cake. I don't know who puts gravy on a cake. You should. You should. All right. So yeah, I think it'll get better. I think it's already getting better, and I think it will get better as we go. Next. What just happened? Sorry. KRI headquarters. Gonna miss most of the stream, but keep kicking butt, Nick. Thank you. I will try. Theragwin says, happy Pie Day, eat more pie. Yes, absolutely. Why wasn't Ethan Van Sciver streaming all day today for Pie Day? Strange Wiggly Tough says, hey Nick, gonna listen to this later, but thanks for all the streams. Also, whenever you yell, it reminds me of my dad. Please don't hurt me, Daddy. I will not. Let's see. Moist John says, they played some 8-pole and 4-pole music. Shooter was a new gay, we'll call it. Okay. The Texan says, Christchurch, New Zealand, same place I got hit by a massive quake a few years back. They still haven't fully recovered from. That's really awful. Let's see. DLC Forces says, MW, remember no Russian. BA Productions, it's BS what those whiny kickfic wussies did to try and shut you down. I myself can't even get one of them to just sit down and talk straight with me. Keep up the good work, my man. Never stop. I won't stop. Chambers of My Heart says, check your DMs. My co-host at Citrus Quest is trying to reach you. Cheers, by the way. My DMs are like 100 deep of the ones of people I've never talked to before, so I'm working through them. Tassius said, should have stopped at that's enough of me speaking. Haha, I'm only kidding. I enjoy your show and I'm eager to be taught the ways of the law. Thank you. Kyra Stone says, glad I can watch this and relax a little bit. Spent all day slaving over college homework. My eyes are burning from staring at the computer. Oh, rough. Tabby296 says, despite the sadness, hope you guys had a nice Pie Day and White Day, aka Valentine's Day from Asia. Asia Frazier says, I had this joke with friends about getting married and should I kill my husband, smother him to death with my bosom? Hypothetically, would your lawyer powers be able to help me? How would that case go? Oh yeah, I'd say he did it, happily. First, Lass says, stay thirsty for justice. Kermit the Frog Hunter says, thanks for keeping us updated on Vic's situation. Use these $5 towards your whiskey fund. I will. Oh, and I need some whiskey in just a minute. Joey Jojo says, in these scary, uncertain times, I like to think of the one thing to help me get through the days. Big fat jiggly titties. Give me Milky's mummy. Well, there you go. Baron Munchausen, favorite 40k faction is either Custodians or Grey Knights right now. Andrew Wars Snowboard says, Ruth Bader Ginsburg birthday is tomorrow. How old is she? Well, I think she's in the negatives now. Dark Fang says, this is my first ever donation to anyone. Can you share your thoughts on the HawaiiCon situation? Keep up the good work, man. My thoughts are support HawaiiCon. They're getting heat. They shouldn't be getting heat. That heat is false. This is the one thing we have to show. We have to show not just to the conventions, but to their sponsors that the heat that they're getting is false. It's a tiny minority. Here's the reality. I think outside of the internet, people going to conventions actually don't even know this is going on. It's weird because it seems like a lot of people do, but I think way more don't. And so the sponsors have to know that this is made up, this is nonsense. The conventions need to know this is made up, this is nonsense. And people just want to see the people, they want to see the people behind the pictures, right? Near719, off topic, but what do you think about families of mass shootings are being able to sue firearms manufacturers? I think that's nonsense and needs to go straight to the Supreme Court. That violates like every bit of liability in tort law that we've seen throughout the history of the United States. Nick's Hex says, what is the best Stone Temple Pilots album? Man, I'm partial to Core, but I really love Purple. I'm going with Purple. Jake Bill says, Celeste Vic means we are returning to that poppy. Yes, that poppy. Listless Azure says, Vic's music albums are lit. Got 2 of them today. Earjuice says, dancing around with the killers. The man over a decaying pile of gunt. I'm also sending out invoices like a man. That's the spirit. DL Ziggers 37 SSJ. Been watching you since Vic stuff started. Happy to say I'm glad I found this channel. Can learn some things I never knew. Thank you. Automata says, off topic, but any thoughts on mass nixing abatement ab initio to reinstate Aaron Hernandez's conviction and any larger ramifications? I have no thoughts on that. I have not looked at that or given any thought to it. So I've got nothing. Sorry. Chris Nemo says, why does nobody make fun of how big your nose is? Oh, buddy, you're not reading the chat. Earjuice says, do go near Gunt. Disrespectful Gunt. Arturo Martinez, thank you for the donation. Samus Fan 117 says, I'm a prison librarian in California and sex offenders always blame the victim / their past. No apologies. Vic never blamed and did apologize. Innocent. I mean, I think Vic is innocent. Everything shows me that, I mean, there could be something, right? You never know for sure, but I can't find it. I can't find it. The signs aren't there. Andrew Young says, a message for Kick Vickers that accuse him of being too friendly with minors. Tell them that they're not being the people that Mr. Rogers knows they can be. Arturo Martinez says, I noticed that you point out a lot of logical fallacies in your amazing soliloquies, but you do not state what they are. In the future, could you do so? I could try, but I'm not a logic. I'm not a logic. I could just tell you what doesn't work. Maybe I should have a logic coach on. Al says, I don't care who you have on. It's not going to make me stop watching altogether. I'll just skip the episode and be back tomorrow to be lawsplained. Absolutely. Never feel bad about doing that. Ampathos guy, off topic. Did you get my email from last night? I did, but I haven't read through it yet. Robert Carroll says, fans singing AC/DC. If they want blood, they got it. Yona Hall says, Jim wants on. Look outside for smoke signals. No, Jim. Jim, are you smoke signaling? Repeal the NFA said, did Chris the Kiwi finally snap? Did Chris the Kiwi finally snap? First time hearing about anything down under. Press P to pour one out for him. Yes, there you go. We're going to do a couple more, and then we're going to get back into it because I don't want to do this the whole time. I mean, I'd love to, but you know how it goes. I want to get the information to you and then get back to the chats. Least concern says, if while looking through discovery for a civil case, an attorney finds evidence of criminal activity unrelated to their case, are they obliged to go to the police with it? No, usually not. It depends on the activity and the attorney, but almost never. Would it be admissible as evidence? It depends. And shout out to Crabbo at Kiwi Farms. I'm guessing that's what the KF is. It would only be admissible as evidence if its probative value, this is a federal rule of evidence, if its probative value outweighs its prejudicial impact. Okay, so the probative value is how useful the information is to the matter at hand. Prejudicial impact is how damaging it is to the person. So let's say you're in a case about a breach of contract. And in the discovery, they accidentally let spill that they have a bunch of kid porn on their computer. What does the kid porn have to do with the breach of contract? Nothing. However, if you present that evidence to the jury, they're going to hate the person who had the kid porn. And it won't matter whether there was an actual breach of contract or not, because their hatred will have clouded their decisions, like the dark side, right? So they tend to not allow things like that. But it all depends on whether or not the evidence is relevant. Now, if it's a criminal, if it's evidence of criminality that is related to the breach of contract, like, for example, fraud or perjury, stuff like that was covered up, well, then yeah, because breach of contract necessarily involves honesty. So you can use that to impeach some of their statements and stuff like that. Okay, hope that helps. Couple more. These Hands says, I'm a dad who is dating a hot MILF, so I'm also a Chad. Am I allowed to be part of the Chad Dad stream? I don't know, buddy. You got to send me your resume. Yona Halls. Oh, wait. Blood Moon Splicer says, Jesus Nick, warning for us headphone users first. I'm sorry. Was that the Shane stream? I apologize if it was loud. Blaine20 says, for exhumed Shane's reburial fund. Ryu Sketch. Oh, and guys, my art guy, I had the idea finally for the Shane stream shirt and mug. My art guy is working on it. I hope we can have a design in the next couple days, because if it works, if I were an artist, I'd draw it myself, but I'm not. If it works out the way I think it will, I think you guys are gonna like it, because I laughed to myself. So maybe you won't, maybe you will, but hopefully I'll be showing that in the next couple days. 3 more. Ryu Sketches. Hi, Nick. I was wondering if it is possible to make a new amendment that can incorporate free speech on the internet. Yes, it is possible. Absolutely. It's up to Congress to do that. Yup says, you can try to hide it all you want, but I know you're drinking Milo's 0-calorie sweet tea. Oh, I'm not trying to hide it at all. It's my favorite drink. That's some good stuff. I get the 1 gallon of that stuff. I would too, but they don't sell the 0-calorie stuff in 1 gallon in my town. Last one. Well, Bookham Dano donated. Thank you. Walrus Aurelius says, we doing 40 streams soon, my guy? Yes, I want to do it this coming week. And I got to get that 24-hour stream. Both of those are going to happen very, very soon. I would do the 24-hour stream this weekend, but I am otherwise engaged for St. Patty's Day with some very old friends. So I can't do it this weekend, but soon, very soon to both of those. Yes. All right, let's get back. Let's get back to the important stuff. Of course, the chats are very important. I love to read them and interact with them, and welcome any questions that you may have, or comments, or insults, whatever you got, including insults about my nose. Brief side story. When I got this new camera, I accidentally stretched the screen horizontally, or the camera horizontally on my Streamlabs, and then I didn't notice, because like I just was a little wider in the face, but when I turned and my nose hit like the stretch, it went woo. it looked even more embarrassing than it is. So there you go. All right. Engage with a crate of Jameson. Oh gosh. Okay. So here's recap. Actual contract, knowledge of that contract. Okay? I can tell you there's at least one, and I can tell you there's knowledge. Third element, intent to interfere with said contract. Right? You have to do something to interfere with the contract, and it can't be an accident. Right? You can't like fall on the sidewalk and break someone's contract. It's not how it works. You have to, your actions have to be calculated or intending reasonably to interfere with said contract. All right? How does this look? Well, we can use Meyer versus Wade as a reference, right? I mentioned this earlier. Wade finds out that this publisher is publishing a comic by a horrific, racist, misogynistic, xenophobic murderer. Them's jokes, Meyer. If you got any GoFundMe money left, please don't sue me. Them's jokes. Them's jokes, my dude. You know, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, of course. He had to tell Antarctic Press that they were dealing with a monster. That they were dealing with a monster. So what does he do? How does he interfere with that contract? Ring, ring, ring. Hello, Texas. Hello, Antarctic Press. This is the California soy fields calling, and I'd like to report it. I'd like to report a thought crime. Right? That's how Mark Wade did it. He picked up the phone. And the best part is, just like here, he announced it to the earth. Well, I'm going to get on my high white horse, and I'm going to ride in and save Antarctic Press. The fair maiden Antarctic Press. I'm going to save them on my horse. I'm going to joust that wicked Meyer right off of his publishing contract, right? That was, he had to broadcast it because these people, these disgusting people, are too stupid to realize that when you broadcast an unlawful act to the world, you enter reality very quickly. So that's what Wade did. Wade picked up a phone. He called these guys. He talked to them. Clearly wanted them to not have the contract with Meyer. It's so obvious. It's in. And then he tweeted about it, telling us. He told the whole world how much he didn't want that contract to happen and how he was going to report back on his mission. His mission to save the damsel from the dragon of Richard Meyer. He just went ahead and told us all. We saw the same thing with Anime News Network. With Anime News Network, located in Quebec, located in an apartment in Quebec. Anime News Network. They found you. The internet found you. If that's a residential apartment, man, I hope not. That's embarrassing. That'd be really embarrassing if that was your house that you were running Anime News Network out of and that's where you registered your business. That'd be dumb, but they found you. Anime News Network up in Quebec. You Quebecois. I shall insult you with a French accent. Maybe that will help you understand what is happening. No, I'm just kidding. But Anime News Network, they broadcast their intent to do this beforehand. They broadcast their intent to commit this defamation against Vic Mignogna, and then they went ahead and published a story about it. Mars Girl, she went ahead and threw it all over the place. How much she was backing this. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's time to create a hashtag. Tee-hee-hee, kick Vic. I don't do this normally. Lol. She just went ahead and did it, right? And then proceeded to retweet everything in existence. She just tried to retweet everything in existence. Han Leia, private that. Guys, Han Leia deleted 30,000 tweets. Imagine deleting 30,000 tweets and still having 30,000 left. Wow. Went in protected mode. That's not going to save you, sweetie. It's not going to save you. If you're on the target list, you're getting the envelope. You deleting tweets absolve you from what you did. I don't know. I hope for your sake you're not on the target list. Hope that little island that you're on is too far away to care about. But what do I know? They found you too. It's almost like you can't hide from reality when you ruin someone's life. But there's that whole thing. They broadcast it though. Anime News Network, IO9, the IO9 author being former Channel Awesome, they broadcast it all. Ron Soye couldn't stop broadcasting 385 tweets about Vic Mignogna. 385 tweets about Vic Mignogna from Ron Toye. And that was days ago. Now, he's since been quiet from that stomach bug. Oh, my goodness. Sorry to hear about that stomach bug, buddy. So my point in this, I'm sorry, I'm gloating. I'm glowering in the hilarity of reality meeting Twitter. I just love it. I love it every time it happens because the abject denial of reality, for some of you, this is new. For some of you, this is new. But I went through the exact same thing on a much smaller scale because my audience is much smaller with Comicsgate. I went through the exact same thing. The same cadre of dummies on the other side saying, that's not unlawful. You can't sue. No one would sue. No lawyer would take this case. You're not a real lawyer. I saw it all. So when it happened again, I knew the routine. I just couldn't stop laughing at it because it's not it's not the reality that they're in. It's their inability to reconnect with actual reality. They're stuck off in this la la land and they can't break the code. The algorithm's got them. It's got them. And so when that script crashes, it's normiefail.exe or whatever. I don't know. Okay. So how do we know? How does this happen? How would one interfere with a contract? Well, with Meyer versus Wade, it's a phone call. Someone else, it might be an email. Someone else, it might be a lawsuit, a fake lawsuit. Knox versus Taylor is an interesting case, which involved a guy filing fake lawsuits and then submitting those fake lawsuits as evidence that that the person that they were trying to get ruined you shouldn't have business with them because look, they've got these lawsuits against them. Now, I mean, the guy filed the lawsuits. They were frivolous. They went nowhere, and he sent them the lawsuit documents before they were resolved. So what you can't do is you can't call and say, don't do business with this guy because he's a dirtbag. Can't do that. Not in Texas. You have no right to do that. 2, what you can't do is call up and say, you need to not do business with this guy or else I'm going to do this. 1, that's extortion. 2, that's tortious interference of the contract. You can't do that. And the other thing you can't do is lie about the legal process to attempt to influence someone's decisions on who they do business with. And this is very clearly from Knox versus Taylor. This is a Texas Supreme Court case. It is a leading case on tortious interference and truth as a defense. It's an important piece of, it's an important Supreme Court decision. And it's very clear. This is from 1999. It's still good law. And it says you cannot use a fake legal process, a fake lawsuit, for example, to then suggest to someone that they can't do business with someone else. Can't do that. It's weird that the court wouldn't want the court abused in such a way, but it almost makes sense if you think about it. But this is just about Knox versus Taylor. I don't know how anyone would interfere with Vick's contract specifically. It could have been a phone call. It could have been a quid pro quo threat. It could have been a fake legal process thing. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways it could go down, right? A lot of different ways. But let's say someone sent an email, for example. And in that email, it said, look, I know you've got this person coming. And let's say it's a vendor. That'd be good, right? A vendor? A vendor says, look, I know you've got this guy coming. And if you have that guy, I will not honor my contract. I will not show up. That's tortious interference. That's that's contract, knowledge of the contract. It's expressed, right? And then intent to interfere with that relationship. Now what has to happen next? This is crucial. You can't just have that step. If it's ineffectual, the court doesn't care. Okay, so someone called up and complained. Whatever. Did you drop the guy? Well, no. If you didn't drop the guy, who cares? You didn't drop the contract. If you still fulfilled it, no one's harmed in a way that the court can fix because no money changed hands. None of that. Or no money failed to change hands, I guess. And no performance was missed. Okay. So you have to have your contract breached. In many states, it has to be breached. And a breach is not a cancellation of contract, okay? So if you've got, you've heard of morality clauses. California has morality clauses in all of their contracts with all of the most immoral and horrible people on the planet, right? In Hollywood, like the literal pedophiles running rampant all over Hollywood are imposing morality clauses on the people they raped on their way to the top. Like, let that sink in. Let that sink in that probably every woman that Harvey Weinstein allegedly sexually assaulted had a morality and brand disparagement clause in their contract that would allow Weinstein's company to drop them whenever he needed to. Like, let that soak in. Okay. So if you have one of those get out of contract free clauses, that's fine. That's fine. That allows people to get out of a contract, to cancel a contract or void a contract and not breach it. Right? That's the interesting part. That's not a breach if you're following the terms of the contract to exit out. However, Texas is different. Texas is different. In Texas, according to the Texas Supreme Court, it's interference with a contract, not induction to breach, that matters. So if you have a contract, even if that contract has a valid exit clause, up until the moment that exit clause is exercised, up until the moment the contract is canceled, the contract is good. And any act that precedes the cancellation of the contract may be a breach, may be interference, okay? So let's say you've got an at-will employee, because it's Texas. So you've got an at-will employee in Texas. Now let's say you found out some things about this employee that are a little disciplinary. You're like, oh, you know what? I might want to fire this guy next week. You know, I might want to fire this guy. I don't know. His conduct is weird. I think I'm gonna let him go. But you don't let him go yet. And then you get a phone call from someone who says, hey, let me tell you about this guy and how he molests children. And then you go, oh my God, I gotta fire that guy. Fire him. That is interference. That's interference. Period. Plain and simple. He wasn't fired. You get the phone call. Even if you're thinking about firing him, you get the phone call and then you fire him. Would you have fired him without the phone call? How do you know? Even if your answer is yes, are you sure? Are you sure? Texas takes this very seriously. Up until the moment of termination, contract is good and interference is interference. Period. So, intent to interfere with a contract, and then actual interference. Interference in Texas is not limited to breach. It just means that you messed with it and had an impact, a negative impact. technically, it doesn't even have to be a breach of the contract. It could be a reduction. It could be a demotion. It could be all sorts of things. That can actually be tortious interference as well. It's broad enough to cover that in Texas. So, contract, knowledge of the contract, intent to breach the contract, interference, or intent to interfere, and then actual interference. Okay? And then damages. Damages can be presumed depending on the circumstances. So what's the defense? I mean, surely people give information to companies all the time, and then companies act on that information. You've got a bad, you go to Dairy Queen and a guy's throwing blizzards at the customers, and you call up the manager and say, this guy's throwing blizzards at the customers and not in a good way. And the manager fires him. You didn't interfere with that. You didn't interfere with that contract. You registered a customer complaint and they acted on it. Okay? That's a little different. Let's say you've got a customer service line that's made for taking those types of calls. You call that line, register your complaint, they investigate and they act. Okay. As long as you're not lying, that's not interference. That's what we call privileged communication. All right. So privileged communication is an avenue of communication between you, who is not an involved party in the contract between A and B, between you and one of those parties. There are lots of people with privileged communication. Former employers, since we're talking about employment, let's say Funimation was thinking of firing Vic, and they called ADV, right? I think it was ADV, the former studio that he used to work for. They called them and said, hey, can you give us your opinion on this employee? And they give him the opinion. They requested that information, right? So the communication becomes privileged. Now, most people would still recommend that ADV not say anything negative to save themselves the trouble, but they might be able to win on that privileged defense. They're like, hey, they called me and asked, I have this information. There we go. That's a privileged communication. Let's say you're a beneficiary of the contract between those other parties. Like, there's all sorts of ways to be a third party beneficiary. Let's say you're a beneficiary. Well, then your communication with that party might be privileged. So if you have a privileged communication, that doesn't mean you can't tortiously interfere. It just raises the bar a step. It raises it to the same thing we've talked about in defamation and other things. Malice. Now, malice in a defamation case means lying. Malice outside of defamation, any other type of interference case, it means something other than, it means a manifest intent to go after someone, right? To do it maliciously, to do it with ill will, or malice. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. But in defamation case, it ends up with a lie. A lie is the big thing, and knowledge that the lie is a lie. All right? So let's suggest maybe that someone knew of an appearance at a convention. Someone contacted that convention. They said, I know you've got this person coming. You can't do business with this person and do business with me. Like, for example, a vendor, right? Or a panelist or something like that. You can't do business with this person and do business with me. And if you do that, and then they breach and they drop Vic, you've got TI with contract. The only thing you'd have to show is knowledge, intent, action, damages. That's it. And now you might have to have that heightened bar of malice if they argue that the communication is privileged. Well, I mean, we have no evidence of malice so far. How would we possibly find people with displaying an overt intent to get Vic removed from something? Like maybe asking for his head and balls, or lying about him over and over, or just simply saying to someone, if you do this, I won't do this, or whatever. So what does this mean? It means a lot. And I'm going to tell you in just a minute. I'm going to read some more chats. I'm going to read some more chats here. Because we've got quite a few. Quite a few. Gengio says, please don't show the gremlin again. I wanted to reach through my monitor and strangle him with his own intestines the last time he was on. King Explosion Murder. I don't plan on showing him again. King Explosion's Murder. King Explosion Murder says, I could hear Shane's chair crying in agony when he sat back down in the clip. Oh, the burden of being frozen, catatonic, and having to watch as that giant, disgusting heap landed on you every day. My God, it's a fate worse than death. Lurik L says, hold up. So you's telling me there was tortious interference and stuff? That's amazing. Siren Jack says, Shane is back. He's the new Pope Formosus. It's the second cadaver synod. Non-Catholics and non-crack.com fans ask Rackets about that. No, don't ask me about that. Wyvern Zero says, I'm just waiting for them to be served papers. Yes, and I'm going to talk about that too. I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. Walrus Aurelia says, is it still breach of contract if they say this wasn't part of the deal? And I reply, I have altered the deal. Pray I don't alter it further. Yes, I think so. As long as you use that line. Alistair's Knight says, hey, Nick, longtime fan, first time super chat sender. Welcome. I gained so much more respect for you after Mumkey's stream, after you talked about being a considerate movie-going parent. I salute you, good sir. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Wyvern Zero says, how screwed is Shane with the contract interference? I don't have any information. That Shane is screwed yet. But if I get that information, you'll know, because my smile will be, the Covington kid will die from the smugness of my smirk. Like, he'll just be walking and unfortunately pass away when that smirk hits. You won't even see it because it'll probably happen off air, right? Anime Moon says, as one who helped start OMG Con, I remember that convention staff regularly touch base with guests and discuss other guests and network through them. Oh, yeah, they do, don't they? They do that. Chris Nemo says, Wade is to Flash what Dan Abnett is to 40K and Cosmic. No, I like Abnett's 40K stuff. Leon Bowman says, keep up the fight. Although I've heard he's kind of a tool. I don't know if that's true. SJ Jar Jar Binks says, can tortious interference work in Texas as they're a right to work state, and regardless of reasoning, can they not affirmatively claim right to work? Basically, Vic, go away. No, in Texas, it can be right to work all day. They can have every right to fire you. But if someone calls and induces them to fire you, it doesn't matter that they have the right. That person still interfered with your contract. It just means that the person who breaches or cancels the contract isn't liable, but the person who interfered is. That's all. Gabriel Eving says, Techo is happening in a month, and I hope he gets to go. Also, with with all this stuff going down with the convention that announced Vic, things looking good. I think, do you mean things not looking good? Yeah, well, we've got to let them know that we are louder. We've got to be louder and more polite and humble. ISJ 322 says, never forget the 86 lost and 458 maimed in Nice, Paris. I don't like the actions in New Zealand, but I have a hard time believing it was without reason. Well, you can do that. I don't think the New Zealand guy lost someone in Nice, Paris. I haven't seen any or Nice and Paris. I don't know that he had any direct connection to that. So I'm not going to justify his actions. I don't have any interest in doing that. John Gunsel says, Nick, do you have any updates you can share on the Todd Habercorn situation? Not at present. Davcor says, F the NPCs. They have awoken the AI. Lolicon John says, how strong is Depp's case against the crazy lady? I'm going to be going through that either this weekend or next week. Depends on time. Vash Lancet says, I'll be seeing Vic in Anime Matsuri. I heard this all started over him being religious. Don't we have freedom for that? Hashtag stand with Vic. Hashtag fear the beard. Hashtag see you at Matsuri. I hope to be there. I'm working on it. Baron Munchausen. Great movie, buddy. So glad you're not a heretic. Do you watch If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device? Also, Die for the Emperor or Die Trying. I have watched a little bit, but I need to go back and watch it all. Sakaki Onsai says, what do we do with the JV squad of complainers? Leah Rose, Talk Equity, Annabelle Larder, etc. Are there any legal issues if HawaiiCon or other cons pull out? Yes. Could TI be put forth on them? Hashtag Warface. Potentially. It all depends. You know, it depends on the situation. The Vapist says, hey, Nick, this is the first time I've caught you live. Can you please say, praise the holy Islamic vapor? Sure, I guess. The Kilted Privateer says, what's your favorite nation in Stangirial? Ace Combat. Don't play Ace Combat, so I couldn't tell you. All Out of Bubblegum says, greetings, Senpai Inquisitor Rekieta. Getting ready to celebrate with some Aberlour Double Cask Single Malt 12 years. One of my favorite whiskeys. Ooh, that sounds good. Blaine20 says, it's all fake. Amtank says, Nick, you're on Google News feeds. Oh, that's cool. Moving on up. Blaine20 says, Hillary once said she'd go after AMNO, because we don't have a protected right to it. Oh, ammo, because we don't have a protected right to it. Thoughts? Don't ever let that disgusting, decrepit monster anywhere near an office. That's the thoughts. I think we have a protected right to it, absolutely. But I think the Supreme Court might cuck on the issue. Kit says, the worst news is that now New Zealand will see a wave of ban everything. Remember, kids, don't do anything stupid. Makes life worse for those you want to avenge. Yep, it does. Baron Munchausen says, drinking Canadian Club 12 year. Opinion on rye. I'm a growing fan of rye. Growing fan. Philip Stahl says, thanks for all the excellent content, Senor Rackets. Thank you, sir. Adelaide Holmes says, I'm concerned if anything will happen due to Monica and Jamie will be at SakuraCon. Something will happen. I know it. What do you think will happen? Do you think they're in danger? I don't. I really don't think they're in danger. And if anybody out there thinks of putting them in danger or even putting them in discomfort, don't. Ignore them. Oh my gosh, these people, their money, their livelihood, and their egos rely on attention from an adoration. That's their whole business. Just don't give it to them because they don't deserve it. I was talking about this on Flash's stream. The difference, I think it was Flash's stream. I don't know. The difference between Vic, or maybe it was last night with Coach, the difference between Vic and some of these other people, from what I've heard from fans, endless fans, talk to me about their experience with Vic. And it's personal and impactful and important. They feel a connection to him. They feel that he cares about their lives. They feel nothing from the other people involved, from the Monicas and the Jamies. They don't get the same interaction. They get a cold greeting, a thank you, and a walk away. They don't answer their fan letters. They don't do that. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know what they do. Maybe they do answer everything. I don't know. Just telling you what I'm hearing from people, that we've got Vic having connections with his fans, and these other cold harpies not having connections with anything. And think about how this works on a psychological level for them. Why would anyone have a connection with a dollar bill? Think about this. Think about this. You've got all of these people who see the fans as a meal ticket. Period. Nothing else. Why would a voice actor have any reason to deal with the peasantry unless he were being creepy? Think about how this manifests in their minds and how they justify this action. Because I think that might be a reason. If they think that his interaction is so far outside of how they should behave, how you should treat a meal ticket, then it might look creepy to them when you take personal care. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, so the moral of that story is just ignore them. Don't pay them. Don't pay attention to them. It'll cripple them. Crackbot says, Nick Rekieta wants on. Check your whiskey glass. Joel Woolley says best video game, best movie, best video game soundtrack, best movie soundtrack. If you were to put a soundtrack on Vic Mignogna, what would it be? Best video game, I guess. I mean, my favorite game playing experience is still old school EverQuest up through Lukeland. Best movie, I don't know what the best movie is, but one of my favorites is American Beauty. Also Way of the Gun, another favorite. Best video game soundtrack, I have no idea. Best movie soundtrack, Greatest Showman is really good. If you were to put a soundtrack on Vic Mignogna, what would it be? I got The Apostle. We'll go with The Apostle. Tacoon513 says, any thoughts on the whole Michael Jackson thing? I need to read up on it still. I just haven't had time. Beauty Fuel says, Nick, you stud. Oh, thank you. We love you and appreciate you so much. Thank you very much. I love you all back. Razgriz Reborn says, 1 year anniversary since my dad's passing. He was abusive. Watching the stream / playing Pokemon to fight the depression. Also, what do you think about the UN banning hentai to protect children? 1, I'm sorry to hear about your dad's passing. 2, I'm sorry to hear that he was abusive. I do hope this stream brings a little bit of light to your day. I don't believe in banning. I don't believe in banning even distasteful speech. I don't believe in banning even distasteful speech. And hentai is just, you know, whatever. Protect the children. They always say it's to protect the children. It never is. Never is. And then finally, Richard Ties says, Nick Rekieta docs Anime News Network. Oh no, docs. Don't ban me, Twitter. I didn't do that, but okay. Okay. All right. Here we go. Here we go. How does tortious interference affect the parties involved? Because we have 3 parties. Vic Mignogna. Convention. Interferer. Right? We've got that. So we know how it affects Vic. Sorry, we don't fulfill your contract. You are uninvited. You are not allowed the access to your fans and your community. You're not allowed to speak. You are not a person for us. You have to be a person somewhere else. Not here. Don't have to go home. Can't stay here. That's how it affects Vic, right? That's basic, straightforward. How it affects convention. Convention doesn't get Vic. May get bad vibes from the community. May get reduced attendance. May get increased attendance. It's a gamble, right? They don't know what's going to happen. But there's some impact on the business, maybe. They may keep. This is where things start to get complex, because if someone threatens to not do business with the convention because of Vic, they may keep that business. They may have to do a balancing act. Well, which one do I think is more valuable to me? All right. And then how does it affect? Wait. What happens to the convention who breaches a contract with Vic? That's interesting, right? Because I've already asserted that you have to have a contract. You have to have an agreement. An agreement typically involves terms that have to be fulfilled. Now, if you don't perform, then you're in breach. Unless you have a valid excuse to be in breach, you're in breach. So what happens if you don't perform? Well, I mean, actually, a lot of times nothing, because lawsuits are expensive and people don't know lawyers and may not know their They may not know their rights. What does Vic have? Oh, a giant law firm and a bunch of money from a GoFundMe. So, suddenly you've got a breach of contract claim. You've got an actionable breach of contract claim. You may have some sort of, defamation or whatever if the convention made a statement about it. Even a private statement to a third party. That's important. So now, suddenly, the convention has gone from having a contract with Vic and having whatever relationship they have with the accuser to not having a contract with Vic because they're in breach. I guess still having a relationship with the accuser, but now having a cause of action for Vic to bring against the convention. And that could be a very, very bad place to be for conventions that I hear run on rather thin margins. Now, it's important to not laugh and gloat at this. It's a bad place to be. Make no mistake. But remember, the convention has been misled or lied to. That's the crux, the underlying crux of the interference, is that the convention has been sold a lie, and they have acted to their detriment on that. Now, legally, does that matter? No, that's not an excuse. You don't get to breach a contract just because some idiot called you and said to. Some vapid person called and said to breach the contract, and then you breach you still breach. You're still liable for that breach, and whatever that breach may be. If you had guaranteed money, if you had a guaranteed amount of time, and they could quantify how much money would be made over that time, those sort of things. Like maybe because they've been to other conventions recently and could pretty easily show an amount per hour that they would make, and then they could look at the contract and see how many hours they were going to be there and make a good estimate, right? That's how you would maybe calculate those. Now you're on the hook for that. Now you're on the hook for attorney's fees as well. Suddenly that bill goes from nothing to thousands to $10,000s of dollars to $100,000 if you're on the hook for attorney's fees and the case gets drawn out. At least 50. Does a convention want to risk that? Well, they have. They're risking that right now by breaching the contract. Okay, so finally, then you have the other person. You have the accuser, or the blackmailer, or however you want to look at them, the person interfering with the contracts, the interferor. They still, I guess, have whatever relationship they had with the contract, with the contract holder in the beginning, but now they have created a cause of action against themselves from Vic, right? That's obvious. So how does this work out? How do lawyers pursue this? How do they prove it? How do they utilize it? Law is often about the facts. Law is often about the statutes, right? Those are tangible. We know what the statute is. We know what the facts are. How do we make the language of the statute fit the factual scenario we've been given? Or how do we make the language of prior court decisions fit the factual scenario that we've got at hand? Okay. There's that tell. Oh, gosh, I'm itchy. Law is also about leverage. Leverage, all right? Law is also about leverage. Now, leverage is an interesting thing because leverage, I shouldn't say law. Lawyers are about leverage. Leverage is not a legal remedy. Leverage is a tool we use to get to remedies before they go to court. So now Vic has a lot of leverage over one party in particular that he didn't have leverage over before. He was on equal footing with the contract holder. I'm going to do this. You're going to do this. We are equal partners in this transaction. Now this guy breaks the contract and his stock drops because now Vic has a breach of contract claim. So now Vic has leverage over them because all Vic has to do is pull the trigger and that lawsuit becomes a reality. And not a reality, a reality. Okay? And that's the lawsuit for breach. This is not tortious interference here. So now that convention has a choice to make. What do we do? What do we do? If I'm Vic's lawyer, I'm turning this into an opportunity for the convention immediately. Look, here's how you avoid the lawsuit. Honor the contract. Have Vic at the show. Well, this list of vendors over here, they say if I have Vic at the show, they'll pull out. Will they, though? Will they do it? Because if they do it, then they're in breach. If they do it, they're in breach. Do you want to be in breach, or do you want someone else in breach of your contract? So you say, because I guarantee you, the contract between the convention and all these other people doesn't have a written clause that says Vic Mignogna can't be there, right? Like, I would have the hardest time on earth believing that that was an actual thing. I have a strong feeling that discussion happened after contracts were signed. And even if it was before contracts were signed, it happened off the contract as an aside, as a side arrangement. That's not part of the contract at all and is not legally binding. So if you break your contract with Vic, you've got a breach. If you honor your contract with Vic, you've got a gamble that someone else might breach. Will they? Will they just throw money down the toilet? And they say they will, right? They've talked a big game. Right? Convention. Oh, we're not going to be there. Vic's not going to be there. You're going to throw away thousands of dollars of income? You just throw that in the garbage? For what? Who do you hurt? Who do you hurt? You hurt Vic by not showing up? No. You hurt the convention by not showing up? Maybe. Only if your presence would outweigh Vic's. Would it? You want to take that bet? How's social media treating you right now? Let's say do they do it? That's the question. Will they do it? I don't think they will. Because at the end of the day, that's their real income. That's where their real money comes from, is conventions. You're going to throw away 5-10 grand over a weekend? I find that hard to believe. Especially when you got that lawsuit coming, right? You're going to throw away that money? I know it's a fictional lawsuit. Complete fairy tale. You haven't gotten any papers yet or anything, right? So it's complete fiction. Are you willing to bet that? Are you willing to bet that? That's the question. Let's hit a couple super chats and then we'll get back to it. Amtank says Texas #1, 2 USA flags and huge Texas flag across the highway from your motel and AMA. The 80 mile per hour gusts yesterday tore both USA flags. Texan flag A-OK. That's because the Texan flag cannot be broken. Automata says, I'm making your They Found You Too my ringtone. Oh, that's fun. Jeff Pierce, thank you for the donation. Blood Reich says, Muslims killed in a place called Christchurch by a white guy using a semi-auto video game style and live streamed it. That's just disgusting to me. Had I 10 eyebrows, all of them would be raised at these coincidences, not subtle. Well, I mean, there's sometimes there are coincidences, sometimes they're not. I guess we'll never find out, unfortunately, right? We still don't know about Vegas. Don't know much of anything about it, so who knows? I like the Spike Man says the only good blue hairs are in anime. Oshig Bulma is a blue hair. The SJWs scorch everything they touch. Vidya comics and now my Chinese cartoons. Ree! Leah Talley says, what about tortious interference in post-divorce cases where a 401k manager prevents a person from getting a court-ordered percentage due to the other spouse's failure to sign the split form? You got to pursue that through the court in a contempt. You request a hearing and demand an order to show cause, and then you on contempt of court by failure to follow a court order. You got to do it that way. That's why I hate family court. I hate it. Victor E. Bell says, subbed. Thank you so much. Trex Tenkai says, with you being called a blackface lawyer and pictures posted, when is the line crossed from free speech to slander and harassment? Oh, it's a hard line to cross. Not going to make any bones about it. I never intended that picture to be public. Funny, of course, the very white knighty moral, the moralists out there have offended more people with that picture than I ever would have. So, good job to them. They have misrepresented that picture so badly and offended people way more than the no one who ever would have seen it otherwise. Good job. Smart move. Really great. You definitely care about the darker skinned people than you. Thank you for saving them with your whiteness. Makuro Nico says, I know you can't tell us who the person is that did this, but with that much clout, I bet it was Funimation CEO Jen Fukunaga. I don't know if Jen would do that. I think Jen might be sympathetic to Vic. That's just me. Anime Moon, he's not the CEO anymore. He's now the chairman of the board, which is different than the CEO. And he, my understanding is he does not have direct executive authority anymore. Anime Moon says, Funimation bought ADV Films over a decade ago. Well, yeah, okay. Ismail Bolden says, oh my God, you're still live? Thought I missed you. No, we tend to do 3 hours a night, so you still got some time. The Traveler says, catching up from the beginning. Thanks for your words on the New Zealand. We're having a rough time at the moment. We don't normally have this sort of violence here. No, and I pray it remains rare. Darth Bogcat said, would Vic have as strong a case in Minnesota? Nope. Not at all. Not at all. Texas is the worst state, probably, for this to happen, and it's great. Lost Warrior says they just slaughtered over 20 people in a mosque. Women, children, and old people. The killer live streamed it, and media is protecting his identity. I know. Jospy says, please stay tame tonight. I'm out of no credits. Okay. Danny Agent 87, will you talk about Johnny Depp Amber Heard case? Yes, probably this coming week. Waifu Sans Frontiers, happening in New Zealand. Shooter thinks that if he's taken alive, he can argue against any criminal charges by arguing he's an armed combatant fighting against an invading force. Yeah, no, that doesn't work that way. Well, maybe it does in New Zealand. Wouldn't work that way in the U.S. Ismail Bolden says, was Yuri Lowenthal part of the Kick Vic movement? I don't know. Gay and Still at Large says, glad I can make it tonight. Sadly, I got to be up at 3 a.m. Saturday morning, so I'm going to miss the Chad Dad stream live. Buy yourself an Irish coffee this Sunday. On me, Big Dick Nick. Let's see. Slyente. Thank you. Just Teamer, thank you so much for your donation. Redbeard, we're going to do 5 more. Would you reach out to Owen Benjamin? His mother is getting defamed and will get fired for the things Owen says on his channel. I could reach out to Owen. I've never talked to him before, but who knows? Ismail Bolden says, what are your thoughts on the Captain Marvel controversy? I believe Brie Larson made some discriminating comments towards white males. That seems like a bad plan. Mate. That's my comments. Can't really do anything about it. Goru says, praise the sun. The Big Red Bear says, I'm duly with New Zealand. From what I'm seeing, the guy who did this looks to be a white supremacist. His manifesto apparently references British fascists like Sir Oswald Mosley, a fascist from Britain. I picked that up when you said British fascists. I don't know. I don't know anything about him. Chaos Song says, so can a convention sue Funimation and Rooster Teeth for tortious interference if they said they wouldn't work with them if they supported Vic? No, but Vic could. Vic would be the party to sue. Did I say? I forgot how many more I said. So 2 more. Sorry. Jeff Pierce says, will Vic go Asterios on us? I don't think so. Favorite Iron Maiden song, Nick? What? Run for the Hills, right? Kiash the Pally says, trying to put together an unbiased video detailing how all this could/is changing the anime culture. Could I contact you for help in putting it together? Yes. I don't think anybody will call me unbiased in it. I'm overtly biased for Vic. But yeah, you could definitely contact me and I will do what I can to help out. All right. Let's move on. Okay. So, options. Lawsuit for breach of contract. Lawsuit for tortious interference. Clearly done. Easy to do, right? Easy to do. Other option. Very important option. Khan allows Vic back. Vic tells Khan, I don't want to sue you. I don't want to do that. Can you just please have me back? Fulfill my contract. Let me interact with the fans. Gonna be great. There's nothing bad's gonna happen. Nothing bad does happen. This is all lies. I'm sorry that you were involved in this, but everything's gonna be good. Here's my last convention appearances. Look at the lines. Convention has him back. Then it's up to the other people to decide what they're gonna do. The interferor. Will they make good on their threats? Have they made good on their threats so far? That's the question that maybe the Khan should answer. That's the question that maybe the Khan needs to really consider. Have they made good on their threats and promises so far? Hypothetically. Does it even look like they could possibly deliver on those threats or promises so far? You got to answer that question. I don't know. I'm just a guy on the internet. Got to answer that question. Right? Convention? The other option, of course, well, if they let him back, it actually damages his case for tortious interference in some way. Because if they do fulfill the contract at the same terms, then, you know, it's hard to say that it was tortiously interfered. Right? That'd be good, though. That'd be good. Actually, if there were a party who maybe made a threat to a convention, if that party existed. Now, again, I don't know if that party exists. I have no idea if there was actually a party who tried to leverage their influence on a convention with some threats. Maybe that party would consider calling up the convention saying, you know what? I was being really dumb when I did this and didn't even consider what was happening. And I think I want to retract that statement because I don't want to interfere with his contract. Now, that would be the smartest move. Oh my, maybe I should say it would be dumb because they keep doing the opposite of what I tell them will help them. And it keeps burning them alive. I don't get it. It's like, no, don't step on the frying pan. Your feet will cook if you do that. And they're like, yeah, I don't trust you. I know that thing's red hot. I'm going to step right on it. Don't trust you. Okay, now that you're in the frying pan, don't climb over the edge because the fire that's heating it up is hotter. No. You didn't fool me last time. No, I seriously told you not to get in the fire pan. I got to get out of this thing, and I'm going to go this way. No, just come out the way you came in. That's the best way. No, I don't trust you, you fake lawyer. I'm going to climb over the edge now into the hotter fire because you said it was worse than being in the frying pan. Climb over the edge. Oh, God, it's worse in here. Maybe I should tell them to do the opposite. But the smart move would be to just call up the convention and say, no, actually, everything I threatened, I'm sorry. This misstatement was dumb of me. I take it all back. You should let him be at the convention because, oh my God, you've just avoided 2 lawsuits. You've eliminated a cause of action against yourself. You build goodwill with the community. Or maybe the community doesn't ever find out about your bad will. I know who you are. You're lucky there's someone out there restraining me because I would just as soon blast your name to the whole earth. I would tell the entire earth exactly who you are and exactly how scummy your behavior has been. That's what I would do. You're lucky there's someone restraining that. Because I have no hesitation making that non-privileged communication 1,000% public on a level you've never imagined to show just how much you hate fans and just how much you hate Vic Mignogna. I would tell that to the world if it were up to me. Think about that. I know who you are. I know what you said. I could recite it now. Think about it. Think about how smart it would actually be to call up the convention and change your mind and just let Vic do his job because you know no one's in danger because you know that this is all fake. Stop lying. Why don't you help yourself? Why don't you help yourself? You still have time to help yourself, you dummy. You have time. It's baffling that you're acting this way. All right. So, lawsuit, no lawsuit. It's up to It's up to the people involved. 2 lawsuits, 1 lawsuit, no lawsuits. You either got lawsuit against the convention for breach. Maybe you just go after the tortious interference with the interferor. Or you got nothing because you just resolve it like real people do. By stepping back from your stupid emotions and saying, you know what? I acted in a bad way because I was heated. That's fine. That's normal. People make bad decisions all the time. But it's when they step back and display wisdom that their decisions can be fixed before a lawsuit, before spending tens of thousands of dollars for your dumb actions. But that's me. That's me. So, that said, that is tortious interference with a contract. That is about as specific as I can go on the subject. If I get permission, I will tell you everything about it. I will tell you everything. I'll tell you exactly how the lawsuit will go if I get permission. And if it has to happen, that's what I will tell you exactly what's going to happen with it. Happy to. But for now, that's all I can tell you on tortious interference. All right? So where do we go from here? We go to super chats. Then we go back to conventions. We're going to talk about conventions and how we need to start changing the narrative for conventions. I mentioned this on Yellow Flash's stream. Excuse me, I'm going to flesh it out here too. But first, here we go. Bjorn Harp. Cons could each side claim TI. Could sponsors also claim TI after guest cancellation since they would see damages due to less draw without a guest? There is, I'm not 100% versed on third-party beneficiary. That would be a hard claim to draw. The side that could claim TI is just Vic. The breaching party can't claim tortious interference, right? Because they did breach. They allowed the breach. So, or they allowed the influence that caused the breach. Now, that's not a condemnation. If you're acting on lies from someone that you believe, what are you supposed to do? So no, the only party that can do TI is Vic. Cons who made the decision to breach the contract, they don't have a cause of action against someone. Nick Pillar says, I'm sorry, but F the people making excuses for this piece of maggot S in New Zealand. He's a monster, plain and simple. I'm with you, buddy. Absolute monster. There is no excuse for mass murder. There isn't. It's never the right way to do things. The legendary devil hunter Dante says, so I learned earlier that my favorite VA supports Vic, and I'm filled with so many emotions. That is great. Good job. Please don't out them. Awais Anwar says, donated. Thank you so much. Dan T says, Ron's Twitter is now private. Let me talk about Ron Soye. Ron, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt here and assume that when you said you reported me, you meant you reported me to Twitter. You're kind of ambiguous, although in the context of the conversation, it would be easy to infer you reported me to the bar. Going to assume until I get the papers, you reported me to Twitter. You reported me to Twitter, you reported me to Twitter. No harm, no foul. I guess. Dick move, but no harm, no foul. I haven't reported you, weirdo, assaulting people with smiley faces all day. However, if you reported me to the bar, you better not have lied or misrepresented a syllable of it. Not even a syllable, you whelp. And I really hope you weren't stupid enough to report it while at work on your work server, Ron. Because I will subpoena your work to report all of your internet activity while at the office. Seems fair. Seems fair for me to find out if you accessed my employment, or if you decided to try and use the legal system to silence my First Amendment right by trying to leverage the law board, the law ethics board, professional responsibility board. What are they called? I don't even remember. The professional responsibility board. If you tried to leverage them to get me silent, to intimidate me into silence, if you tried to leverage them to take away my income, and if you even came close to defamation, I know a law firm in Texas who would love to help me out. And I will definitely find out if you sent that from your office or from a work computer, or if you used a work fax machine. I will find out. I really hope you didn't, and I really hope you're being just stupid and cheeky on the internet. Because if that's what you're doing, fine. We can be stupid and cheeky on the internet all day. I don't think it's a good move for you. You're the one facing a lawsuit. But if you breathed an ounce of defamation about me to a governing authority, may God have mercy on your soul. That would be a really, really stupid move, Ron. Really stupid move. All Might says, what happens if Monica and her parasitic brood set up some kind of false flag attack on themselves at one of these cons? I know one tried a few weeks ago, but it failed miserably. P.S. Give Space Marine a try. Dunno WTF is going on, but death to the... Oh, gave Space Marine a try. Dunno WTF is going on, but death to the Greenskins. Try it multiplayer. Find out when... what's his face? Chapter Master Volric. Find out when Volric is playing. If he's still playing. His Discord server... was doing games, and when they were playing, the multiplayer was actually working and functional. So try it multiplayer. It's a lot of fun. Stuart Potsma says it's gravy on the poutine. No, gravy on the cake, buddy. Poutine's Canadian. We don't even believe in Canada. Devin Zachary says, always look forward to your streams. Keep fighting the good fight and drink more Lafroig, you weirdo. I'm on a whiskey tour, all different kinds. I'll get back to Lafroig. I resist buying Lagavulin every time I go, every time I buy anything, because I'm on a tour. Nathan B says, what about the cosplay? What about the cosplay is not consent? Can you be banned from taking pictures? I mean, a convention can ban you from being on their property, sure. I thought you could take a photo as long as no expectation of privacy. Legally, yes. They can't do anything legally to you, but they can ask you to leave, for sure. Quacky Boy says, I'm loving how the Kick Vic side are basically acting like Face McShooty. That's a Borderlands reference for all those who get it. Kia044 says, skeptical movement was first victim of SJW infiltration. Elevator Gate, early victimhood campaign. Want killer irony? Check out how Thunderfoot was kicked out from the free thought blogs for questioning feminist narrative. Weird. Fatal System Error, thank you for the donation. Infrigano says, I am here once again to impregnate you. Yeah, good job. Do it. Darking D says, the Christchurch shooter released his manifesto and outright admits he was attempting to foment civil war between the left and the right. Like, it's not a mystery. He told us why. That's good. I haven't read any of this stuff. Like I said, I don't know anything about him. Sakaki Onsai says, so when's Renfamous going to get her just desserts? That's not up to me. Renfamous doesn't talk to me too often. She did for like a little bit. I don't know why. It doesn't earn her anything. Zypher Warrior says, Sony has yet to appoint a replacement CEO or GM. Punk Panther says, if someone pressures a convention to kick someone, how do you make the case it was the threat that resulted in the breach and not the con's own decision? Because it definitely was. It definitely was. You need to prove that's what resulted in the contract being pulled or is contributing enough. Let me say this. Contributing is enough. Because you can't know what decision you would or wouldn't have made without the information that you have. So contributing in Texas is enough. You don't have to have any direct admission. Let me ASMR you a little bit here. And let me humbly suggest that in this case, I'm pretty sure we could prove by a direct admission from the convention that this was the reason. So that would be bad, wouldn't it? That would be bad. That would eliminate that argument. Maverick Marty says, learning some law and getting entertainment value, win-win. Thank you. No one important says, got here late. Hope I didn't miss too much. You missed everything. Sorry. Cyanide Nova says, stuck at work. Thanks for making my night doable. Happily done. I don't know the shooter's name, so I can't share it around. Dave HZ says, your hypothetical is a way better version than what Shane was pretend proposing with a good shot at the same result. Shane had no idea. Shane has no idea what he's talking about. His Discord server, I mean, embarrassing fail on the research, guys. Not even close to being helpful. Maybe his Discord server hated him. And, I bet the Discord server was modded by the chair, and the chair was deleting all the good results they were sending, and only the bad ones got through because the chair wanted revenge. Nick Pillar says, careful, Nick. Twitter might think you're doxing again. I've never doxed anyone in any form of what is private information. Now, people may think I have doxed them. No. I'm sorry, when you put your name and address and all that stuff down on a legal form and you come after me releasing that information is not doxing. That information is no longer yours. It belongs to me. Sorry. Same thing if I did it to you, it would belong to you. But I'm not like that, so I wouldn't do that. That's just your weird problem. Let's see. Ismail Bolden says, Nick, sometimes you just have to hit those ignorant cucks with the frying pan. Yep. No one important says, I hope they have a judge like Judge Judy. No, you actually don't. You want a judge who follows the law on this one, not like Judge Judy. Saw some of her vids shutting down brats and SJWs, and it was glorious. Yeah, Judge Judy, though, does not follow the law very often. She gets to follow her personal opinions much more. In this case, you don't want personal opinions playing into it. You want the law on your side because the law is on Vic's side. Absolutely. Raul Urbina says, 11 days of being unemployed. It's hard out here, fam. Oh, buddy, then why are you donating to me? Don't do that. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I wish you the best in getting back to employment. But do not ever feel like you should be sending me money when you're unemployed. Thomas Chalemi says, Nick, how important is this case? Could this become important in the mainstream? Absolutely. Not in the ways many people would suggest. It's probably not going to go to the Texas Supreme Court or the Supreme Court of the US as some sort of precedent-setting case, but it will everything about it, including how fans, and this is the most important part. It's not about the YouTubers. It's not about the lawyers. Law team, legal team, lawyers. Sorry, that's how it got weirdly. Lawyers. Not about the lawyers. It's not about Ty Beard. It's not about Nick Rekieta. It's not about Yellow Flash, Hero Hey, that umbrella guy. It's not about the conventions. It's not even about Vic. It's about y'all. It's about the fans, about the communities, and how they react to this stuff. If we, as fans, stop reacting with this person must be guilty because of the accusation, if we stop allowing that narrative to exist, if we stand up against it vocally, if we support the people and let them stand up legally and vocally, then we have a chance of changing how this works. And if we win this will be taught. I'm not even kidding. Like, no one has done this in this way. And so far, I think we're winning. Maybe I could be seeing, my bubble. I don't know. You guys would know better than me. But I think we're winning this. And if we win this, it will be taught, and the crucial element will be the fans. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I'm going to talk about the fans because you guys matter more than anybody else in this equation as to how this pans out. All right? So we're going to talk about that. Okay. Could this become important in the mainstream? The company's currently going against Michael Jackson, who won in court twice and never convicted is telling. Yep. Jennifer, hashtag B-word Toye, KRI headquarters Says, so at what points does someone's words go from opinions to a suitable fact in the eyes of the court? When they allege a fact that's false. He's a racist. Probably not a fact. That's an opinion generally. I think he views races as disparate or whatever. That's an opinion. He beat that person. That's a fact, right? Like he either did or didn't, and you can test it. Someone did this thing. Someone said this thing. Those are facts. Opinions about someone's attitude, character, demeanor typically are not. I mean, they could get there, but it's really tough. Genevaz says, if I send a complaint to the Minnesota bar that you entertain me against my will, would they throw it out or forward it to you? And would I get in trouble? Don't do that. Please don't. Please don't. Just because they have enough work to do in all reality, not from me. I mean, probably from me, but they have enough work to do in general. And joking complaints. It's not good to use legitimate processes as a joke. But the answer to your question is that they would dismiss it and then forward it to me. I have a right to know when someone files a complaint. I have a right to know and face my accusers and the public information that they put down about who they are. I have a right to know who's accusing me. Remember that. Remember that. Zero the Slayer says, Ronnie Boy is sad edamame. Adelaide Holmes says, ha, or heh, my ex threatened to sue me for defamation. Heh. Well, defamation and family stuff gets really tough. Really tough. Ismail Bolden says, Ron, Smiley, Soye, Smiley, Get, Smiley, Smiley, Bent, Smiley. I went into like pig Latin on that one. Nylox7 says, rule number 1 of law, never try and abuse a legal process for your personal gain, especially against a lawyer. It's the most important rule. Most important rule. Stardust says, on the behalf of the Bahamas, give them hell, Nick. We're going to do 5 more. Thank you for sticking with me. 5 more, and then we're going to go back to conventions and fans. Okay? Thomas Chilemi says, what happens if they do have proof? Just asking, not sure if it changes anything since nothing was revealed. If they do have proof, the case gets a whole lot easier. That's it. That's it. Infragano says, Nick, let's go to a con and cosplay. You can be a space marine and I will be a face hugger. Giggity. Jennifer says, Nick, I owe you a Class Azul tequila reposado. Really great tequila from Cancun for all the good you have done. Thank you. I agree that you owe me that. Just kidding. Just kidding. I would certainly appreciate it and try it and review it on stream. Jay says, like red wine myself, particularly those with hints of oak, but to me, all alcohols are created equal. They just find different people who may like them differently. That's true, except for Proper 12, Conor McGregor's whiskey, and Johnny Walker White, which is single-handedly the worst whiskey I've ever drank. Absolute swill. Yeah. Blaine20 says, if Ron failed to list his name as Soye on the form, he'd be perjured. And then finally, SM Skorks89 says, is Josh not just 4 kids Clark still bothering you? Check your DMs. No. Josh Clark is not still bothering me. Josh Clark he did message me. He private messaged me and asked if he should, I'll just dox it right now because this is all doxing, right? This dummy asked if he should call Ty Beard or the Beard Harris Bullock and Hughes and ask them what a rape survivor looks like on my behalf. Go ahead, you idiot. Do you think they care what you have to say? You're a serial liar that the internet laughs at. No one believes anything you say. And if they do, I'm sorry that you fell for it, but the guy's obviously an idiot. Obviously. Oh my gosh. Just read his words. It's embarrassing. All right. So next we've got, I've got to read this last one. Totally Maddox says, I am the greatest man in the world. I'm better than all those stupid little boys and girls. And if you see me coming, you better get out of my way because my balls are so big. Their momentum is difficult to change. I don't know the tune, but there you go. Totally Maddox. Thank you, Maddox. I don't know how you can afford a super chat after sending all your money to Kevin Landau. Okay. here we go. I'm not drunk yet. Holy goodness. Chill out. All right. Cons and fans. So, I have a hope that my hypothetical, my very true story with names and parties redacted has given you enough to consider this possibility. Because I was mad at the conventions, right? I was mad that they would do this. Like, don't give in to the mob. If you give in to the mob, you always have to give in to the mob because they know it works every time. Don't do this, conventions. This is it's a bad look. It's bad. You're hurting your fans. That's who you're hurting, yourself and your fans. You're not, and Vic, I guess, but you're not protecting anybody. You're hurting people. Don't do this. Don't do this until you've got something concrete, which you don't. You don't have it. You have rumor, you have conjecture, you have whispers in the dark. That should not be enough. Police charges, testing of the facts, stuff like that. That matters. It does. It really does. And you might need to make those decisions then. But if you don't have that, which we know you don't give in to the mob, because the mob they'll run you. As soon as they know that they own you, then they own you. Right? Rule number 1 of the mob. Don't be in their pocket. Don't be under their thumb. Either one. Okay. So I hope I've given you guys enough information to do what I've done. I have rolled back my perspective on conventions. My perspective on conventions was hostile. I was mad that they cut Vic. I was mad that they gave in to the mob. But now I'm starting to see what's going on. Conventions are faced with a real dilemma. If I give in and let Vic come to my convention, I have these idiots threatening me. We see some of these threats with HawaiiCon. See sponsors threatening. We see stuff like that, right? It's a shame. It's a shame. HawaiiCon, you are brave, stand tall. People will support you. People will support you. Don't give in because people are here to support you, right? We want to go and meet these people. We want to shake their hands. We want to show them support. That's what we want to do. That's what the fans want to do. That's what I want to do. I'm not even a good fan, but now I'm like trying to get to my 2nd and 3rd conventions because I want to support Vic and I want to support the conventions that support him. So these guys are faced with a real tough choice. I go and think about when they were making this choice. Weeks ago. They're seeing a mob. They're seeing a frothing mob of idiots online screaming about all of this stuff. They're seeing news stories in Anime News Network, one of the biggest news companies on earth, according to their website or whatever. You've got IO9, that's Gawker Media. I mean, all the credibility in the world going to IO9. You've got all of this public hatred and outrage being manifested, and you're looking at it like, oh my gosh, what do? I've got to drop this guy. You've got people calling you. You've got people calling these conventions and saying, you have to drop him or else. And sometimes that or else has credibility and weight behind it. So can you blame them? I mean, I can because I have a moral principle that no one tells me how to run my business, right? You try and tell me who I can and can't have on, I'm not going to listen, ever. You try and tell me who I can and can't do businesses, I'm not going to listen. Now, maybe that hurts me, maybe it doesn't. I have to make that choice, but no one's going to tell me what I'm doing with my business, with my show, with my law firm. No one gets to do that but me. Same thing with these conventions. They have to make the choice. So, I can be mad at them for that, but when they're working on this information of, I'm going to get destroyed. We're on razor thin margins already. We can't do this. We can't endure this PR thing. And at the time, it looked like a PR disaster for Vic. Well, now it looks like a PR disaster for everybody else. So I have changed my perspective. I hope you guys will change your perspective if you shared it and give these guys some deference and say, we're willing to give the cons the benefit of the doubt. We're willing to say, whoa, wait a minute. We didn't know you were being pressured. We thought maybe you're just responding to the mob. But now we know you're being pressured individually with credibility. Maybe we give you a chance to do the right thing. If people do that, if we can shift that perspective, and if we can, this is why I'm saying the fans matter the most. If the fans can shift that perspective and let these conventions know, if you have Vic, we will be there. If you don't have Vic, we won't. If you can do that, if you guys can show these conventions what they're losing and what they could gain just by doing what they already wanted to do, which was have Broly at conventions for the Broly movie's release. Oh my God, they're throwing away money not having the title character there. Give them the opportunity to do what they want to do. Be polite, be respectful. If we can turn that around, every single convention is an uppercut to the chin of the opposition. Every time Vic gets to go in public, cause no trouble, and out-earn them at their booths and have more fan engagements than they ever had. Every time that happens, Vic wins, they lose, conventions win, and most importantly, everybody who gets to see Vic, who wanted to see Vic, wins in the best way. I'm not going to talk about people who want to see Jamie Marchi because those people aren't real. They don't exist. No one wants to see her anyway. So if she doesn't go to a convention, no one cares. Monica Rial, I don't know, maybe something. I guess no one wants to see Sean Schemmel. They all want to see Goku. We know that much. But people want to see Vic. We can show it over and over again. We can show that his conventions are successful. Give him the opportunity to do the right thing because that's what helps Vic the most. So there you go. That's why you guys are the most important people out there. Again, it's not about YouTubers. You know, we comment on stuff, we laugh, we make money, we're happy, we report things, we give you our perspective. That's fine. Not about us. Certainly not about conventions individually. Not really about Vic as much. I mean, it is because it helps Vic when he gets to connect with his audience. However, it's about that audience and their ability. Remember that these people are taking away your ability to connect with someone you want to connect with. How else are you going to see a Vic Mignogna? How else are you going to get that interaction? It's not like you can just go to his house. It's not like you're just going to run into him on the street. I mean, you might if you're in the same city, I guess. Odds are not good. You might have to be a stalker for it. The reality of the situation is cons are how you get to connect with these people. You've got a group of people trying to take that away from you over lies. And that, we can't let it stand. Can't let it stand. All right. Let me burn through these chats. And then we might be close to wrapping up here, guys. I'm running out of things to say, and I don't want to just repeat myself over and over. Marsupial Gamer says, saw some Twitter lawyers suggesting they could prove truth by testifying under oath. Can you please reiterate what you said the other night about Vic saying it's not true overriding? They need actual proof. Correct. Okay, so here's how it works, right? Vic will go into court on a defamation claim and say their statement is defamatory because it's a lie. I say under oath that that statement is a lie. They can't prove it, and they have to prove it to make it true. Because I can't prove it's not true, but they have to prove it's true. That's their defense. So then the burden shifts from Vic, who has now proven 51%, more likely than not, he is now proven that the statement is untrue because he said under oath that it's not true. So now the burden shifts to them to come up with something better. They can't just say, "Nuh-uh, it is true." They have to come up with something that shows that it's true. So that's how that works. I hope that helps. Hope that helps. Ashley McGuire says he's starting a fund for your daughters. If any of them inherited your nose and need a nose job in the future. Oh, here's starting a fund. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Very much appreciated. I don't think any of my daughters, I do have 3 of them. I don't think any of them got my nose, but some of them it's a little early, so we'll see. No One Important says, man, I love Monica's, Jamie's, Chris's, and Sean's voice work. Loved all their roles. Gonna be hard to find replacements for them. I don't think it will be, in all honesty. I really don't. Baal of Babylon says, wait, so if some person says that, some person that, say, runs a convention, deals with contracts, goes on a live stream and makes claims and statements and whatnot, would that be actionable as well? There may be something actionable against Shane. I don't know what it would be at this point. So I'm not calling out Shane. I only think it's funny that Shane giddily mentioned tortious interference of the contract and was like, well, how would you prove tortious interference of the contract? How would you do it? Well, here's how, Shane. Here's how. I couldn't do it on the stream because I didn't think that it occurred. I had no information about it occurring. Now I have the best. I have Donald Trump level information about it occurring. Really, really tremendous. Tremendous. Absolutely terrific. The best information. You're not going to get information like this anywhere else. Only exclusively the bestest information. And Canada's going to pay for it. The best information possible about this happening. Now that I have it, I'm certainly willing to entertain it. And I've told you exactly how you prove it. It's pretty simple. Pretty simple. Let's see. Bad Player says, I'll send you an email about social media discovery after the stream. I've got experience running automation software on social media, scraping, and etc. Cool. Listless Azure says, booby trap backwards is party boob. Oh, that's nice. Good job. Devin Zachary says, penalizing through law is a step, but what can be done about how every future conversation about an accused person orients around the accusation? We got to change that in the social zeitgeist. That's the only way. That's up to the mob, right? Moist John says, Sam Hyde doesn't catch a break. It's dark humor, but he announced an upload he made to Gumroad today. Oh, Sam Hyde. Jayoku Houtenjin says, normal people are beginning to stand up for themselves. At least from what I've observed, my university SJWs have become social pariahs. Kind of feel bad for them at this point. Don't. Feeling bad will justify them. Not feeling bad will force them to change. Nani Dado says, are you expected and prepared that a juror will say they know you from this show? No, I don't think that's likely. My show is growing and it's way bigger than I ever thought it would be, but we're talking nowhere near the levels of a jury pool in Dallas. Also, why do attorneys and DAs always dismiss attorneys as jurors? Because you don't want someone who knows the law in the room influencing it. Also, attorneys are persuasive speakers. If people know that the attorney knows the law, then everybody's just going to listen to the attorney when they get into the jury room. That's how it goes. And if that attorney happens to be biased, he may know the law, but he can phrase it in such a way as to prejudice the rest of the jury. Rando number 9 says, Yang gang, 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 Yang gang. Focus on the money, Nick. Let's get this 1,000. KRI headquarters says, I know you're not a rum guy, but try Pirate. It's awesome in root beer or cream soda. Sounds good. I love cream soda. Empathos guy says, press F for my work's internet, which makes it hard to watch and charge my phone. Night, Nick. I got to go do my jobless night. My jobness. I got to go do my jobness. Night chat. Have a good night. Thanks, buddy. Good night. Galmi Senpai says, do you think that regardless how this case turns out, cons will now have server restrictions on how fans, I guess you mean severe, how fans guests will be able to interact? Yes. Yep. Like even for a picture, they can get nothing more than a handshake to prevent any future events like this. Yes. Although if I were ever allowed at a con I would demand that I would be able to hump the leg of anybody who came up to me. That would be part of my contract. Stephen N says, I feel that both you and many other YouTubers who stand with Vic deserve a team title for the world. How's ultra righteous justice heroes sound? It sounds very anime. I love it. Sean D says, imports from Scotland. My favorite whiskey are Deanston 12. Ooh, I've seen that in my liquor store. 12-year single malt and Auchentoshan. I've had Auchentoshan. The one I had was not good. It was the American Oak or something. I didn't like that one, but I've heard the other bottles of Auchentoshan are very good. Very smooth. I highly suggest. Keep doing us proud. I'll have to try like the Auchentoshan 12 or 10 or whatever it is. Gong Shaban says, on day 2 of a brutal flu. Oh, rip, buddy. Hope you make it. And grandma just died this morning. Oh my gosh. I didn't read that far. I didn't mean any offense to that. I do my sincerest condolences to that. Thanks for all your work on this topic and for making an otherwise miserable day in bed a bit less awful. Well, it's my pleasure and my sincerest regrets and prayers to your family. It is what I can do. Dubler says, what qualifies as extortion in Texas? Anytime you threaten to do some act to induce someone to do an act either for your benefit or their detriment. That's extortion. It's the same pretty much everywhere. Should conventions be encouraged to pursue legal action for extortion? I mean, maybe, or maybe they could just report it. But that's up to them. If discovery produces evidence of extortion, what consequences could VAs face? It depends. They could be recommended. Technically, they could be recommended if it's a criminal statute, which it usually is, for prosecution, but the likelihood of them being prosecuted is very low. Infragano says, I want Infragano to impregnate me. Well, okay. Doug Schuett, thank you for the donation. Goblin Slayer. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 left, and then we'll have some closing thoughts. Goblin Slayer says, I keep having this mental image of Soye as Gollum going to Monica. I'm not doing Gollum. I have to get into it. Sorry. Looks master. I reported the evil lawman with big words to the Twitter's master. Soye do good master. Master feeds Soye now. Yes. Oh, is Monica a feeder? That would be embarrassing. Super Captain Chris says, what made you want to have 5 kids? I go crazy with 1. My wife always wanted a big family, and I said, cool, let's do it. That's it. BG Corporation said, and after each one, okay, 1 to 2 was tough. Not gonna lie. I mean, we went for it full bore, but it was the anticipation, the pregnancy of that second child, and what it was going to be like having a second child was very made me very apprehensive. And it's similar to the third, but by the time you get to the fourth, it's like, no, this is going to be good. 4th and 5 were easy, except for the pregnancies themselves. Nightmare. BG Corporation says, after the Vic situation, I'm now curious if there's a deeper reason for releasing Tiffany Bulma, and Stephanie Nadolny Gohan years prior. I have no idea. Dark Soul says, those in the chat crying about Rial being unsold, remember, she is the 3rd Bulma and can be easily replaced. I heard she's the 4th Bulma, which is even worse. By the way, love you, Nick. Thank you. Love you back. Skaki Onsai says, Enigmatic Wonder on Twitter has a great graphic to use when contacting cons on Twitter. Go look them up and use it. And don't be like me. Be nice. Hashtag stand with Vic. No one important says, sorry, guys. That was a future firing joke for all those VAs. Guess it didn't hit. Love you guys still. Oh, so it was sarcasm. I got it now. I like the Spike Man says, dude, if Vic doesn't get back in, the web would totally make an animu, and we need you to participate with Vic, Ty, the Amazonesses, etc. Who would you have join you? Shane's chair redemption arc now. That chair does more work than any of us. Has the heaviest burden. Sam W says, check Sabat's Twitter. His comments are interesting. I'll have to look. I'm probably blocked. Solo Beverly says, did you mention talking about serving papers? Not yet. Let me do that real quick. And Doug Schuett says, even though Goku is my favorite, all this gives me Super Saiyan satisfaction when Broly tossed Goku around like a ragdoll. Also, good job on my last name. Thanks, buddy. And then finally, Orbital Laser 01 says, Nick, it's time for you to admit the truth. How much did your parents pay to get you into your prestigious law school? I didn't really go into a prestigious law school. So I guess nothing. Truth be told, I got a third of my law school paid for by scholarship because of my LSAT score, not because of my undergrad grades, which were embarrassing. Oh, hey, Anime Matsuri with a large chat. Thank you so much. It says Vic's panel will feature him singing 1 or 2 songs live at the end for everyone. He agreed to sing because of the support. What he doesn't know is we have something else special planned, and we're trying to involve the fans that can't make it to the convention. Oh, that would be great. That would be great. Anime Matsui. And again, everybody, if you've got the opportunity and the means, attend Anime Matsui, attend Hawaii Con, show these conventions, put record numbers in the queues for Vic. Show the conventions why he should be there and what they're missing if they don't have him. Show them. Asia Frazier. Have you ever been wasted on stream? Cat or dog? I have been wasted on stream, absolutely. You can go check the 20,000 subscribers special, which I drank way too much Fireball whiskey in a very short time. So yeah, yes. Doc Window Liquor says, don't forget, kid, subscribe to PewDiePie. There you go, subscribe to PewDiePie. Fight back against the T-Series. Okay. That's the chats. Serving papers. I did want to quickly discuss something here. We're in a weird place with the lawsuit, right? We have a lot of news. Do not forget TapeloCon, Nick. They got him too. That was from Sakaki Onsai. Yes, TapeloCon, definitely show up there. We're at an interesting time here. We're all waiting, bated breath, for those papers to come in. Oh man, do we want those papers to be filed? I want the lawsuits yesterday. I think it'll be the funniest thing on earth. I think people are going to freak out. I'm going to read them. I'm going to read every word of the lawsuits. We're going to scrutinize them. We're going to be critical of the lawsuits. Beard Harris, no slacking. Beard Harris, Bullock, and Hughes know that. They know that these are going to be very public documents. They know that everybody's going to be watching this. They're going to be reading it. They're going to be analyzing their arguments. There are people who are so deep in the lore. Here's the deal. That means that the lawsuits, when they go out, have to be excellent. They have to be excellent. So I'm hoping they come sooner rather than later. But if they're delayed a little bit, it's because they're being made excellent with the best arguments possible, with no mistakes, with no holes, with no oversights, because this is Texas and the stakes are very high. There's still the Texas Civil Participation Act. I've talked about it. I've talked about how they can overcome it. That's important. However, you've got to be 100% right in your suit. If you're not 100% right, you lose on a TCPA claim. That's horrible, Michael Avenatti. Horrible thing to do. So, got to be 100% right. These lawsuits are going to be read by me, probably other YouTubers as well. They've got to get it nailed down. They're probably going to be very careful about it. But let me tell you what the process is. All of the people involved who are targets have to get evidence preservation letters, and they have to get the Texas Defamation Mitigation Act letters if defamation is part of their cause of action, which I think on pretty much everybody it is. They have to get those letters. All right? I have a hunch that those letters have gone out to some, if not all, of the parties. I have a hunch about that. Anytime after that Defamation Mitigation Act letter is delivered, you can sue. You don't need to wait for them to mitigate. you can sue them the next day. That's up to them. You can do that. If you've gotten those letters, if you're out there, if you're watching, if you've gotten that evidence preservation letter and the Texas Defamation Mitigation Act letter, you've gotten those. I have been telling you, but I will say it again. It's not if anymore. It's when you get sued. You're getting sued. It's a countdown. That's how it goes. There's no threats of lawsuits in those letters, if you'll notice. Those letters are not, stop doing this or we'll consider doing a lawsuit. If you read them, it's not, stop doing this or it's, here it's coming. It's coming now. You've waited too long. The suit is coming. These are mitigation options for you. So that's, if you've gotten one of those, I don't know. If it came with a stomach flu, maybe. I don't know if you've gotten one, right? With the stomach flu. I don't know if people who maybe think they aren't getting one, maybe think that they were only messaging people in private and working behind the scenes. I don't know if you've gotten one either. I don't know who's gotten one. I know who I'd send them to. But let me just tell you, if you did get one, it's not a threat anymore. It is. It's happening! Ron, what's that? Ron Paul, it's happening. It's happening. You're getting sued. You were dumb for this long and now you're sued. How's it feel? How's it feel when you get that letter? I know you don't have the lawsuit in your hand, but it's a coming. Pain train's coming. All right. So those two letters are the last things you get. They're the last things before you're sued, and the suit's coming. That's how it goes. You still have a chance to avoid it. Don't get me wrong. It's not inevitable. You can head it off. You could always just contact the lawyers like anyone would have done by now. Like anybody in civil litigation. At this point, you would have at least had a conversation with the other side. Especially if you're getting letters like this, you would have called them. If you had any sense on earth, you would call the other lawyers and be like, okay, I didn't believe it. Now I do. I'm sorry. What do we need to do to avoid me having to hire some guy to fight you? If you're still pulling this, I'm so ready to go to court. Bring it on. You're an idiot. You're an idiot if you think going to court on this, even if you're going to win, is going to be a smart move for you. You're an absolute moron if that's where you're still at now, and even dumber if that's where you're at after getting those letters. Once you get that letter, buddy, you're done. Now it's time to smarten up, lawyer up, call the other party, and start talking, because a judge is going to make you do it anyway. I cannot believe how dense you are because of your hatred of me. Anyway, Talonseer says, Nick, you said the lawsuits. I heard you. Yeah, absolutely. Asia Frazier says, 5 kids. You don't have a family. You have a tribe. There you go. There you go. All right. Oh, real quick. How can they be served? Well, there's a couple ways, right? You either have to dox someone. Not really dox them publicly, but you have to figure out where they are. So they either have to be doxed so you can serve them at their home address, or maybe their work address is publicly available. Right? Maybe they can find you because your work address is listed on a Google search. I don't know. Maybe not. They could be served at work. Wouldn't that be embarrassing? Giant manila folder that says lawsuit documents or you are being sued right on the side of it. Like a giant folder that says this idiot got served at work. That's what I would do. That's what I would do because I'm rude like that. I would serve them right around all of their peers or in front of a customer. I would hire a process server who's a complete jerk with no regard for anybody's personal space, who would walk in with a giant envelope, maybe comically oversized, like one of those Publishers Clearinghouse checks, a manila envelope the size of a desk that just says, this person's getting sued. Laugh at them. And I'd put that on the desk right in front of him. I'd say, here you go, buddy. Here you go. Of course, they can be sued at their home. They can be sued at their place of employment. They can be sued. What you might have to do is hire a process server who has skip trace. Skip trace is a tracking service that bail bondsmen use. It helps them locate people. So if they're trying to lay low like Nate Dogg, it's harder to do. People are hired to track people down. The internet is an unkind place, and many of you have already been doxxed. So there's that. I mean, they could just use that information. You may disagree with doxing. I don't like doxing at all. Actually, like real doxing, I'm not a supporter of that at all. However, if that information's out there, a law firm is certainly going to use it. Just because someone put it up there against your feelings doesn't mean that they can't use it to find you. So, that's how that goes. That's how that works. You just get served. You got served like by a white kid with bleached hair and spikes. No Name says, Nick, these streams are cutting down into my weeb time of listening to light novels at work. My CAA friend and my witch doctor agree this is harassment, and I'll be calling your boss at 4 a.m. this weekend. He'll be awake. Blaine 20 says, Jesse Smollett pled not guilty. No, he didn't. Oh my goodness. We'll see what he does there. It might just be a preliminary plea to get some more time to work out, attempt at pretrial motions before he makes the final plea. All right, guys. Oh yeah, you could be sued at a convention too. That'd be funny. That'd be funny as well. Walk up in front of their fans and drop that lawsuit right in their lap, and the fans have, what was that? Oh, nothing. And then some Stand with Vic guy's like, you got sued, idiot. That'd be great. Sam W says, Chris is promoting Generations against bullying DM. I don't know what that means. And the Stephen Hawking treadmill experience, thank you for donating. All right, guys. I think that's a show. For tonight. Tomorrow is the Chad Dad stream. Larry Blydner, Doug to Naple. Come watch it. Those are fun shows. Those are fun guys. Very, very interesting life experience that is vastly different from mine. Great perspectives on life. Great advice for people looking for it. And all around a fun chat, usually with the whiskey flowing. Come ask questions. Come hang out. Comfy, cozy stream. If there's Vic news, I will release it. But I don't think I'll be streaming about it tomorrow. Probably not over the weekend. But we'll be talking soon. Oh, Architect of Fate. Thoughts on the new information about the Clinton email scandal? I haven't seen them, buddy. I haven't seen them yet. I've been struggling to keep up with all the Vic news and all of that, and all of the messages, the very kind messages from so many people out there. Thank you all. I will try and respond to them as I have the opportunity. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're not already, please. It really helps my channel grow and me to reach more of an audience. Even if you rarely ever use YouTube, throw a subscribe up and then never pay attention to the notifications. That's fine. It helps me out. And the likes and the shares, of course, help out as well. Thank you all. I will see you guys tomorrow. I will see you on Twitter. And I'm taking a break from streaming about Vic. I am certainly not taking a break from dumping on people on Twitter in regards to Vic. That's not happening. That's not happening. So, all right, guys. Peace. Have a good night. I will talk to you very soon. Later.